All right, so let's talk about the book report. So on this purple sheet, you can actually find this on our Google Classroom page. I'm going to zoom in a little. This first section that's labeled style actually just has to do with how your essay is set up. If you click this blue hyperlink right here, I already have a template that has most of this done for you. All you have to do is just make a copy of it and then use it from there. The other things that you're going to need to focus on are making sure you have transition sentences, and that your language is not too informal, meaning you're addressing this still as an academic essay. And then your voice. You're going to notice in this essay that you can use terms like I or me, because this is your perspective on how you interpreted the book, on whether you liked it or you didn't like it. And also observations along the way. So the first paragraph is an introduction. So what you're going to see right here is it says introduction, and then we have A all the way to E. And these are the things that you have to include in that specific paragraph. So A is an opening statement where it says, I would or would not recommend this book because, and then that's where you start to tell us maybe like you liked it or you didn't like it. Then the title, author, genre, and theme. How can you find out the genre and theme if you don't know?
Google it.
Thank you. Google it. Type in your book, type in genre or theme, and it will literally tell you. Most books have several themes, so I would choose one that is going to help you understand the book more. Then the main characters. Again, some books have a lot of main characters, so just know that if you have 20, narrow it down to like the main characters. And then the setting, and then your thesis statement. I'm going to come back to this one, but it's basically when you decide what you're going to observe about this essay, that's what you're going to mention in your thesis statement. So I'll come back to that one. What does the word synopsis mean?
Summary?
It means summary. So you are going to, for your second paragraph, write a complete and short summary of this book. I want you, in this essay, to spoil the ending for me. This is different from your presentation because I don't want you to spoil the ending in your presentation, because if somebody chooses to read the book, you don't want to ruin the ending for them. However, in your book report, you can spoil the ending for me because I've probably read it or I know what happens in it because I read the summaries for your books. All right, questions about either of these two paragraphs? Okay, so paragraphs 3 and 4 are actually going to be the same format. It's kind of like a body paragraph for your book report. You're going to make 2 observations about anything from your book. Does not have to be English-based, does not have to be academic-based. It can be anything that you want to notice from your book. So if you're reading your book and you're like, you know what, I like how it's suspenseful. Like I don't know who the killer is. Great, talk about that. Maybe it's a great book for teenagers. Maybe you're like, yeah, the teenagers are very relatable and they're going through similar things that I might be going through. Or maybe it's great for discussions. Or maybe it is funny. Maybe it's not funny. I don't know. You have the freedom to choose anything. And then over the next couple of days, I'll help you guys think about things that you can notice from your book, and we'll make a running list on the board in case you need it. So from there, you're going to write a topic sentence, which is in your own words, where you say this is what the essay or this is what the paragraph's going to be about. And then support for the topic saying, I noticed this, and this is how I noticed it. Then you're going to include a supporting quote. If I'm including a quote, what do I have to have after it? An in-text citation that looks like this. You're going to have the author's last name and then your page number. And then, because I have an in-text citation, what do I also need to have? What?
Works cited.
Yeah, you need to have a works cited. So you just need to cite your book in MLA format. And then you're going to do that for those 2 paragraphs. Questions? Okay. And then the last paragraph is pretty much just a summary of everything you've already talked about. I have 5 sentences here. It's probably going to be closer to 4, and that's going to be fine with me, because all you're doing is wrapping up what you've uncovered about this And then you're going to discuss how the author included the themes, and then your closing statements of like, this book was bad or this book was good. And that's it. So if you scroll to the top of this sheet, you're going to see this blue hyperlink that takes you to this. On here, I have all of your formatting set up for you. So I have your MLA header. I have your running head. I have the title of the book right here. Can anybody tell me why I have it in italics?
That's not supposed to be.
Because it's the title of a book, and it should be in italics. If you're doing a title regularly, you don't need to have it in italics. It can be in regular font. From there, you're going to see that I have the rest of this typed up, meaning like you don't have to refer to this purple sheet if you don't want to, because I tell you what you need to include in this essay. On the last page, I have my works cited, which again is formatted, so you guys can make a copy of it if you needed to. So what I wanted to show you guys was an example of a presentation. So this actually can be found on Google Classroom, and I'll show you guys where you can find it. But I wanted to show you how short and easy the presentation is to make. So for this specific presentation, I'm not timing you. I'm just going to cut you off at 5 minutes because I don't want you guys to talk for like 17 years about your book. Because I'm sure they're all great, but we want to give everybody a chance to present. I also have how long, like how much text you should be including on each slide so that you know it's not meant to be long, and these are actually all things that you've already included in your book report. So I have the cover of the book. There's actually 2 covers. This is the one I like the most. And it's called An Ember in the Ashes by this person. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name because I will probably get it wrong. But you'll see that I have the actual author of the book and not me. All right, so first up we have a summary. We have 2 main characters essentially. The first one is Laia, and then we have Elias. So Laia's family, actually before I get into that, how many of you guys have seen Star Wars? So this book kind of has similar themes of Star Wars, where there's an empire and then there's a rebellion. So in this book, Laia's family has all been slaughtered except for her brother. So her brother's actually kidnapped, well not kidnapped, he's taken to prison because the empire thought that he was consulting with the rebellion. So Laia's mission throughout the book is to try to get her brother out of jail. So she kind of teams up with the rebellion to see what she can do to help get her brother out, and she kind of ends up going undercover and doing a lot of risky things. Then we have Elias, who's kind of like Finn in the newer Star Wars movies, where he doesn't really agree with what's going on in the Empire. So he's a son of a pretty well-up assassin, so it's kind of his role to be an assassin, and that's what he's been training for his entire life. At one point, he is actually admitted into a competition to be the next emperor, so he spends most of the book trying to compete in that so that he can make a change in the empire and do better for the world. Do they both survive? Does Laia get her brother out? I don't know. You'll have to read to find out. And there is several books in this series, so kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger at some point. Next up is theme. I would say the theme is follow your destiny. Throughout the book, there are several characters, like magical characters, that come into the main character's life and say, this is the right path for you, or this is what you need to do, or kind of pushing them in the right direction. So it's kind of like they're pushing them to follow a certain path or follow their destiny. The setting, actually the author in the back of the book says that the setting is based on ancient Rome. So a lot of the streets and the houses are based on what you might actually encounter in that time period. So it's not new age, it's more back in the day, this is what it would have been like. The genre is young adult fantasy because it does have mystical aspects, and the main characters are teenagers trying to make a better world or trying to find themselves. So I gave this book 4.5 stars out of 5 for a couple reasons. I hate cliffhangers. Don't leave me on a cliffhanger. It's rude. Second of all, the start of the book was kind of hard to get into. It took me about 70 pages until I was like, what's happening? And then I figured it out. However, I do say if you like Star Wars, maybe for like the storyline and the rebellion and the Empire, you would probably like this. There's obviously love interests and there's a lot of backward stuff happening, and it does leave you on a cliffhanger, so it's good. I didn't like the damsel in distress part. I don't like that about most books. Women can fend for themselves, but it was really good. I liked it overall. And that was it. That is my presentation. On the Google Classroom page, my example, it says book presentation example. And then I also have this on there, which is just a template if you wanted to know how to fill in and what you need to include specifically. So it tells you how many sentences you need and what you need for each slide. And then it obviously has a link to my example if you needed it.